Well, look, here's my perspective on what is
Mm,
happening right now. The question is, where is everything going? And I think that there is a very, very strong force in the world that is pushing certain people in certain directions, in certain groups, in certain ways.
mhm,
And the aim of this is for an axis or alignment for conflict. So people don't want to have a conflict. They don't want to have a
mm,
fight. But the way that I see the geopolitical information that I know right now is that there's a lot of pressure on people that's trying to start conflict,
mhm,
whether it's in the Middle East or whether it's in Eastern Europe or whether it's in South China or whether it's around Australia or whether it's in Central America. There's a lot of pressure
mhm,
on people to to fight against each other, and there's there's very little information presented on
mhm.
other ways, other paths, avoiding the
Yes.
conflicts.
Mhm, mhm,
And I I see America being pushed towards nationalism.
mhm,
Very, very
mhm,
strong, independent, passionate, but dangerous nationalism where
mhm.
they they think they're good, they think they're great, and that that really depends on the leadership, and I don't think they have the right kind of leadership right now. I don't think any of the main countries have directive and powerful, natural, authoritative leadership. They have leaders, but the leaders are very weak. Like
Mhm.
you don't look at them and think there's a real leader.
Mhm.
We're not hearing the language of
Mhm.
philosopher kings, right?
Mhm.
We're hearing marketing and sound bites and
Yes.
everybody must follow the rules, and we're not really hearing a higher level of communication. And so we don't have good leadership anywhere. And I think that there are geopolitical forces. There's China, there's Russia, there's Europe, there's North America, or basically the United States. And South America is just a mess of different countries fighting with each other,
Mhm.
basically. There's some beautiful areas, but it
Mhm.
economically it's a nightmare.
Yes.
Um, and it seems to me that everybody's being pushed and pressured, and even the global health crisis has put even more pressure on people, especially international pressure, with people pointing the finger and saying, "It's you, you did that. No, no, they
Mhm.
did that."
Yes.
And the only result that I can see is that after people are tired, and after they're tired, they they break or they explode. Because when you're tired is when you get angry.
Mhm.
So tired is the pre-state before you're angry, before you explode.
Yes. Yes.
So so first of all, socially and culturally, you find a way to make everybody tired, and then when they're tired, they get angry, as everybody does, and there are so many other pressures, and it's difficult to get resources, and um, big companies are fighting with each other for uh, like the technical companies can't get the little microchips that they need, and the car companies can't get the parts that they need to build their cars. And so everybody is fighting with each other for these little advantages, which just filter down as pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure through society. And it it can't go on and on and on endlessly. There will be some
Okay. Mhm.
pressure point at some point in time, whether it's and it will begin with it will probably begin with people against governments, but it will then turn into governments against governments very quickly after that. And it's at this moment in time, it's only a matter of time before there are larger international conflicts because the fighting, the problems that we see on a personal level will grow and grow and grow.
Mhm.
And um, at this moment, it will take a miracle to stop that or to change the direction of it because because everybody's tired and everybody's had enough and quite a few people are angry and you're not supposed to get angry about things but but no, anger exists for a reason. There is a justified angry emotional response to injustice in the world when we see things that are wrong and that should be changed. Of course, they should be changed peacefully, not violently.
Yeah.
Um, but the psychology of people is difficult to control when they're in groups. Groups are crazy and chaotic, and uh, it's hard. And also, the media doesn't help, right?
Mm.
Um,
Yes.
you either have too much information or no information, I think, at this moment in time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? There's so much information that you don't know where to look and what to
Mhm.
do,
Yes.
or or you're like me and you just shut off. I just shut off from it.
Mhm.
I'm like I don't. I'm like just you know do what you want, right? It doesn't seem to. I don't want to let it affect me too much. So I don't think it's good that if it does affect me. So that's and I see it very clearly in the United States where
Mhm.
I think the United States needs a war.
Yeah.
They need a new war
Why? Biden.
to release the pressure,
Uh-huh.
to release the pressure,
Mhm.
to change the focus.
Mhm.
Look, Biden is such a bad president that a war would be good for him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a war would make him look strong
Mhm.
internationally and decisive. I'm not sure that you know.
Mhm.
In my opinion, Biden is equivalent to a vegetable, but so he might be a smart vegetable, but he's still a vegetable. He's not an intelligent one, and
No.
um, the danger is that when people are tired of Biden, they will look back to Trump, and Trump is interestingly enough, Trump was the first American president to not start any war in modern history.
Mhm.
He was the
Mhm.
first
Yes.
American president to
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
start a war.
Mhm.
In fact, he stopped three. He stopped
Mhm.
three and started zero. He's the first president to do that.
Mhm. Interesting. Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And he always said no wars. He said no wars. I don't want war. No
Mhm.
wars. And um, but he was very strong economically, right? He was very strong from a business sense.
Mhm.
But
He's businessman
he's a businessman.
before
Yeah.
businessman.
Yeah, naturally, you want the businessman to be your leader because
Mm-hmm.
America was built on business, so you want somebody who understands business,
Mm-hmm.
um, and who can, there were record stock market and business profits
Mm-hmm.
under Trump, which disappeared when Biden became president. So the problem is that Trump has a big ego, and
Mm-hmm.
an ego can be good for a leader, right? It's not always bad. It's not always a
Mm-hmm.
bad thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I understand. Mm-hmm.
It can be there's a positive element to it, but it's probably not under control, and
Mm-hmm.
that's that
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yes.
that's the danger there, and um, there's a strong possibility that everything will swing back towards Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and that there will be larger international conflicts. But maybe that'll never happen. Maybe that there's so many problems, right? Right,
Oh.
right. That things might not get that far. But it's an interesting theater to observe and to see what is happening there. It's always
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting time to be alive for sure. So just the way that people are pushing conflict,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it we have
Mm.
to be very careful with that because it's always on the horizon.
Mm.
It's always on the horizon. We have to when you know where the bad things are,
Mm-hmm.
you know where not to go. Right? You know where not to go. And um, looking back at the 20th century, the last
Mm.
120 years, it was the craziest 100 years in history.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt, it was the craziest 100 years in human history.
Mm-hmm.
We can't see it because we're so close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look back throughout history, the history that we know, nothing compares to the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Marxism, communism, National
Mm.
Socialism, the explosion in technology and arts, the two
Two
world
world
wars.
wars.
Yeah,
Mm.
yep.
Mm.
Global economic transformations, cultural explosions, countercultural explosions, everything within, if a person lives to 70 years, so that's within two lifetimes. Yeah, everything has
Mm.
completely
It's
changed.
strange. Mm-hmm.
Uh, and and so we're still processing that in our brains. The
Mm. Mm.
pharmaceutical industry, the creation of drugs, the rise of the medical industrial complex. Um, all of these things are very, very recent developments. Um, and it's it's chaos. It's what it is. There's very most of the world is not in order, right? Most of the world is in chaos, and that's the yin and yang of the universe.
Yeah, it makes.
Chaos and
Mm.
or order. And my estimation is maybe 10, maybe 15% of the planet is in order, but the other 75, the other
Mm.
85, 90% it's just in chaos. go to northern Russia or Kazakhstan or parts of Indonesia or Central South America or anywhere in China, right? Right. It's it's madness. What is happening in most places, and we so really the world is in chaos, and because our cultures are relatively stable, so we don't see it so much, but it's there. It's there, and the question is the order going to take control of the chaos, or is the chaos going to take control of the order? And that's the biblical question, right? That's good and evil, God and the devil. That's the balance of those two things. And history is just the rising and rising and rising and rising of chaos until it collapses. and we rebuild things again. And the question is it going to be, everything will collapse, will it be controlled or uncontrolled? And I don't think we have an answer to that yet, because there's just too much happening. There's too many businesses doing too many different things. There's too many countries. There's too many cultures. There's too many languages. There's too many religions. And I don't mean these things are bad. I just mean they can't work together. Maybe they shouldn't work together. Maybe they should stay separate. I don't know, but it just makes everything. I mean, it's very easy to find chaos. Just go to another country where you don't speak the language, and go cross the border, and you're in chaos, right? Leave the town that you're in, and you're in chaos, right? It's very easy to find the madness of things. So that was this. I listened to a series of lectures this week on the biblical ideas of order and chaos, and it makes sense to me that there are these two universal forces. The order, which is stable, and the chaos, which is confusion, basically. And also, it's not just a universal thing. People feel that in their heads as well. Like everybody has days when they're clear about things and days when they're not clear about things as well. And it comes down to a lot of things. Food choices, basically. Right. Yeah. Fuel yourself with the right food, and you should be able to make healthy choices. But even that's difficult for people. In a world where we have everything, why do we still have so many problems? Right? Because doesn't the internet has the answer to everything, right? I mean, I don't mean everything, but I mean 99% of the things that you want to look for, you can find. It has in a sense replaced God as a neural network for the universe, and still we have problems. We have all the answers,
Mm-hmm.
but but still we have problems. I mean, and that's human ego again.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's us being human beings and being limited and um, not being able to understand the order and the chaos in things. You know, it's order is the rules and chaos is the game. They You can't have the game without rules,
Mm-hmm.
and it's stupid to have rules with no game.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to exist together. The duality of everything.